talk about the NL Central. So we'll start off with the Reds. The Reds are the Cleveland Browns of the MLB this year. They're really bad. And they really don't have that bad of like a roster. Their pitching staff's pretty bad. Homer Bailey's their number one starter. Luis Castillo, Tyler Mai, Sal Romano. I mean, their pitching staff is not good at all. Definitely when Homer Bailey's your main dude, but like lineup wise, they really don't have that bad of a lineup. Like Tucker Barnhart, not a bad catcher. He's done pretty good this year at times. Joey Votto at first, obviously one of the best first basemen in the league. He hasn't really done much at all this year though. Scooter Gennett, Scooter Gennett's a really good player. I like Scooter Gennett a lot. He can really just go anywhere on you play outfield, second base, he can third base. He can play a lot of different positions, but he's playing second base right now. Peralza at shortstop. This kid has really had a tough year to start the year, but he's supposed to be pretty good. Cliff Pennington at third base. This is like a Jed Lowry type infield, just filling lineup, with guys that have been there maybe in the past. And then they got in the outfield, Billy Hamilton's in center field. I love Billy Hamilton, his ability to steal bases, and whatnot, but just not good. Not a good team. Got to score a lot of runs. Their team doesn't really score that many runs. In the outfield, also Jesse Winker is playing right field. Scott Schebler or Schiebler, whatever's hurt right now. He's one of their outfielders also. And then Adam Duvall, who's had pretty good years in the last couple of years, but this team is not hitting very good this year. And, they're 3-13 because of it. Really, really sorry squad right here. In a division where, all the other teams in it are kind of competing. Next, let's go Brewers. Brewers was a team that I liked last year, and I liked the things that they did in the offseason, adding Luis Kane and Christian Yelich. I think those things are going to definitely help out. They have Domingo Santana in the outfield, a guy I like who hasn't really been able to, he's kind of in a tough spot in the order, like 6 or 7 most nights, and so he's a good hitter. He hits for a good average, but he kind of struggles in his ability to he gets some runs from times, but he doesn't really have a lot of RBIs. He hadn't hit a home run this year, I don't think. So he's not playing terrible, but he's struggling a little bit. And then Ryan Braun is also out there in left field. He's had a pretty good year. Orlando Arcia at shortstop, I like him. Jonathan Villar at second base, not another all right defensively, I would think, but they have some of the most errors in the league at this point, so they hadn't really been that great defensively in the infield, even though these guys are more defensive guys than hitters. Travis Shaw, who's a good hitter, they got him from Boston a couple years ago. He's definitely been good, and then Eric Thames has definitely came on as of lately. Jesus Aguilera is a guy too that he plays first base sometimes. He's a pretty good hitter also. And then they got Manny Pena behind the plate. This pitching staff is just going to really have a lot of issues this year. Knubel went down real earlier in the year with like a hamstring strain. So everybody got pushed back a spot in the bullpen right now. Jacob Barnes is their closer. I've seen Matt Alberts close a little bit. Josh Hader, J.J. Hoover. Not that those guys have closed. Those are some of their relievers. And starting pitching wise, Zach Davies really has to hold it down. And then Julius or Julio or whatever his name is, Shashin, has not been good this year. Brent Sutter has been all right. They have some major issues at their pitching staff, some big injuries for the Brewers coming. Jimmy Nelson is one of the guys that's hurt that I can think of off the top of my head. But I think they have another guy that's injured right now. Um, so I mean, they're really dealing with a lot pitching staff wise. And they've actually not been that bad. They're only 8-9, but I'm just not really. I don't know. I'm not really sold by the Brewers. Like when you look at these teams in this division, like I think the Cardinals are playing with a little bit more fire right now, and the Cardinals are like not any better than them. But I'm not really sold on the Brewers at this point in the year. I mean they're not bad or nothing. They're gonna have multiple games against the Reds, which build them back up, but. I don't know what I see out of the Brewers this year. Not a bad team that they're putting out there. I just it's either one night their pitching's really bad or it's one night their hitting's not there. So, um, you know, I don't really know if we'll be talking about them for wild card later in the year. We'll see. All right, let's talk about the Cardinals. Um, Cardinals, are playing pretty good. They're putting a pretty good lineup out there. Yadi Molina behind the catching, he's doing the catching, doing a good job. Matt Carpenter at third, Paul DeHong at shortstop, Colton Wong behind second base, and then Jose Martinez has had an awesome year for them, really taking over as one of their better hitters. Mike Carpenter's been a good player for them for a while, can play multiple different positions in their outfield. They got Dexter Flower, Tommy Pham, and the big name Marcell Ozuna, who came over. Ozuna hasn't done a whole lot this year, but I think he's going to get it on track. Starting pitching wise, not a bad lineup. Waka, Carlos Martinez, Luke Weaver throws a good amount of Ks. I've liked what I've seen out of Luke Weaver this year. He's pitched good. And then, the old man Adam Wainwright, who's been forever. And then Miles Mikolas has not pitched awesome this year, but he's kind of like a fifth starter. I think Bud Norris could come into that starting role at some point, but we'll see. And then Greg Hollins, their closer, so they got a good closer. Cardinals are pretty resilient. They're usually a team that we're talking about at the end of the year. So I think this team is definitely going to be talked about as a wild card team at the end of the year. I think a lot is going to depend on if the Pirates are for real or not. The Pirates started pretty hot, and they put a pretty good team together. If let's talk about them now. Gregory Polanco, if he can continue the way he's played, MVP type at this so far in the season. Sterling Marte, another good player that's been pretty good, and then Corey Dickerson's really been hitting good lately. They got him from Tampa. He's pretty good. Jody Mercer playing shortstop. Colin Moran playing third. David Freese sometimes plays third, but Moran has hit pretty good this year. Josh Harrison went out with an injury, I'm pretty sure, the other day. So he's going to be out for a little bit. Adam Frazier will probably be playing second base. And then Josh Bell playing first. Josh Bell is supposed to be one of their better players also. And then Francisco Cervelli has been a pretty productive catcher. Catchers aren't as productive behind the plate, but they've been pretty productive. Heard a lot of good things about their closer, Felipe Vasquez. He didn't pitch very good to start the year, but as of lately, he hadn't been doing bad. And then this lineup, this pitching lineup that they put together has not really been that bad. Ian Nova, former Yankee, has not been terrible. He's put up quality starts. Trevor Williams is 3-0 on the year. Had some quality starts. Jameson Talon is really good. He's had quality starts too. And then Chad Cole has struggled, but he looks like he has some promise. I've liked what I've seen out of him. And then Stephen Brault, he pitched last night. But I mean, this team's pretty balanced. Their hitting's not anything crazy. Their pitching's not anything crazy. They've started the year off pretty good. We'll see what happens with the Pirates going forward. But let's not get too crazy about them yet. We'll see if they can compete throughout the year. And then the Cubs. The Cubs have started slow, but I mean they're 7-7. They're right there. Their offense has honestly looked really bad. To me, their offense looked really good the other day. Again, when they came back against the Braves, but for the most part, the Braves, kind of played better than them throughout the series. And they just, I don't know, their hitting is just really not there. I mean, they don't have Rizzo right now. Rizzo's hurt, so they're kind of having to, throw different people at first base, and Rizzo's kind of their cleanup guy, one of their better hitters, and he hasn't really been playing for like the last week or so. Wilson Contreras has gotten off to a slow start. He didn't really get going until the All-Star break last year. Chris Bryant has been good, but just not as productive as he was last year. Zobrist is definitely getting older, slowing down. Javier Baez is real hot and cold, but he's a good player. Addison Russell, I hadn't seen Addison Russell do anything in 2 years since he came up, when from their minor league team. Hayward has been a guy that gets paid every year and, is kind of looked at as a big-time player, but I don't really ever see Hayward, Jason Hayward do much other than field a couple balls in the outfield. Ian Happ is striking out a lot, not hitting for that great of an average. And, he plays center field most of the time. Sometimes he gets some leadoff home runs. He's got good power. And then Schwarber, Schwarber has been all right this year, but just not, not the guy that they need. They need a little bit more power. And then their pitching staff has definitely gotten weaker. When you talk about, Lester's good, Darvish is good, Hendricks is good, Quintana, Chatwood's not really that great, but, losing Arrieta was tough. And I'm not that sold on Darvish, he's been all right. Quintana's not bad. Hendricks has been good in this past. I don't know if is he really, a top pitcher. And, obviously Lester's really good and I've proven, and then their bullpen's not bad. Brandon Morrow's the closer, so, I think the Cubs will win this division. I think they'll get it together. Maybe the Cardinals, maybe the Pirates give them a little bit of hell, but I think the Cubs definitely can win this division. Joe Madden will probably get them in the right direction at some point. So, kind of slow out the gates. If they can get that offense going, though, that they'll definitely be able to win this division.
I told her, listen, Lord knows that I'm a good Christian, but we can do it in the tub or we can do it in the kitchen. She start giggling, she think I'm kidding. I was on a mission, blowing double O's, always get the women. I know she peeped the fits, I told her read my lips, said we can do it like that.